A very good morning to you. I am Jamie, and this is, of course, the Chat Trap on a Relax Radio. It is a Friday, and I don't know about you, but I'm so excited it's a Friday because this weekend is definitely something I'm looking forward to. And I know, the weekend is just a time that we can all enjoy, take a break for a little. And I know you are enjoyed for the weekend as well. So today we're going to be talking about a lot of different things, from motivational to inspirational, everything that you need to know you are going to hear right here on Relax Radio. So make sure that you tune in for some good conversation. Make sure that you tune in for some informative conversation. And trust me, God knows we all need inspiration sometimes. So if you just need that extra dose of motivation, if you just need that extra dose of inspiration, all you got to do is make sure that you keep it tuned right here on Relax Radio. Now, with that being said, I want to remind you to be a part of the show, okay? I want to know. I want to know how your day is going so far. Are you having fun? Are you excited for the weekend? Do you like what we're talking about? Go right ahead and comment down below if you're listening to us on any of our social media platforms. Or you could very simply connect with me by calling me on our number that's 078 473. Now, with that being said, if you're just tuning in, well, then a very good morning to you. I hope this morning has been amazing, nothing but amazing. But I want to remind you that if it's not amazing and if you've had not so much of a great morning, it's okay because trust me, things are only going to get better. So make sure that you start off the day with as much positivity as possible and make sure that you keep it tuned right here on Relax Radio. Now, before we get into the actual conversation, I want to remind you to also, like I said, be a part of the show and also go check us out on our social media. That is Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. We go as Relax Radio, and we are giving you so much of good content. And we would appreciate it so very much if you could share our posts, and if you could just hit us a like, give us a like, because it would show us that you are with us throughout our journey. Because okay, at the end of the day, what's most important for us is you. We are nothing without you, and we absolutely love it when you interact with us. We absolutely love it when you become a part of the show, which is why I want you to interact. This is Relaxed Radio. This is interactive radio, which is why I want you to go right ahead and be a part of the show. Now, with that being said, let's get into the conversation. And that's, when you feel like giving up, what do? If you're thinking of quitting, if you feel like you can't hold on anymore, and if you feel like just giving up, I'm going to share with you a few things that you could do instead of giving up. Now, like I told you, for me, what's most important is you. And I want to know your perspective on things. I want to know, have you had instances in life when you felt like you wanted to give up? Is there some things that you did instead of giving up that you are absolutely proud of yourself for doing? I definitely have things in my life that I'm super happy for continuing to do instead of giving up. Now, if you have similar experiences, go right ahead, share with me. Like I said, comment down below if you're listening to us on any of our social media, or go right ahead and connect with me on our social media. That is Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and TikTok, or simply call me. Now, with that being said, I feel like no matter how successful people are, no matter how much money you have, or no matter how poor you are, every single one of us as human beings, at some point in our life, every single one of us have felt like giving up. It's just, you can be the president of the United States. You could be the queen, and I'm sure every single person at some point in their life felt like giving up. You might feel like giving up on the verge of success. You might feel like giving up before you've even started something. Maybe you don't have the courage to even start something. Maybe you don't have the motivation to start something. Now, either ways, in all of these scenarios, perseverance is absolutely everything. Okay, so what I want to do with you today, within the next couple minutes actually, is to, before you start thinking of giving up, I want to give you a few strategies, or I want to give you a few things that you can do instead of giving up. Now, I feel like these are not well, okay, definitely you're probably going to have heard these before from other sources or whatever, but at the end of the day, I feel like it's so important that we reiterate these things to ourselves. And I'm going to talk about things that are relevant for today's generation. I'm going to be talking about things that are relevant for you and me, what we can actually do, not just a bunch of words, but what you can actually do when you feel like quitting, what you can actually do instead of giving up. Now, the first thing I want you to do, and this might seem a little strange to some of y'all because y'all will be like, oh, but what's the relevance, Jamie? What has social media got to do with us giving up or not giving up? But definitely, one thing I want you to do when you feel like quitting, when you feel like giving up, is to limit your social media dependence. Listen, I'm 21 years old, okay? And I am a big advocate for social media because I feel social media as a whole has helped me in so many instances, especially during COVID times, during lockdown. I was able to keep in touch with my friends. A lot of my friends are all over the country, all over the world. And because of social media, I can interact with them and I can maintain my social circle. But trust me when I tell you, social media can be so toxic sometimes. Which is why, if you feel like giving up sometimes, if you feel like quitting, I want you to do something before you actually quit or before you actually give up. I want you to limit your social media dependence. Not only can social media be extremely toxic, like I told you, it can be really, it can boost your procrastination, or it can be, in other words, a huge time waster when it comes to achieving your dreams and your goals. But more importantly, I feel social media can also demotivate you. The more time that you spend scrolling through other people's lives on Instagram or Facebook or Snapchat or Twitter or whatever it is, the more you tend to compare your life and your progress to that of other people. And I feel like this essentially can make you feel like giving up. Now, I understand that there's a flip side to this coin, and I understand that sometimes that seeing other people succeed can essentially motivate you to succeed. But I want you to figure out you. What kind of person are you? When you see other people living happy lives, does that motivate you, or does that kind of be like, oh no, I can never be like them? What kind of person are you? Figure out what kind of person are you. And if you fall into that latter category, I want you to limit your social media dependence. Now, okay, even if you could use social media to motivate yourself, well, then amazing, use social media to motivate yourself. But please remember that no matter how much control you have with yourself when it comes to social media, we could go off track, which means things like TikTok. You could scroll on forever, and I mean for hours on end, and there'll still be another video to watch. Which is why it's kind of scary. You can spend hours and hours scrolling through social media, scrolling through TikTok, looking at somebody else do some dance that isn't going to, impact your life in any way and help you become successful or help you to achieve your goals and your dreams. So make sure that you use social media wisely, with control, and use the extra hours that you do waste on social media to focus on yourself and to work on your own goals instead. And remember that everyone's journey is unique. That's another thing social media does. I feel like a lot of these influencers, I don't know, again, it's my opinion, and you could have a very different opinion. But I feel like a lot of these influencers and a lot of these social media influencers, they're called, they kind of say, oh, this is what you need to do to succeed. This is what you need to be doing. This is how you need to eat. This is how you need to be exercising. But at the end of the day, we kind of forget that every single one of us different. Every single one of us is different, and that all of our journeys to success is unique. And social media can kind of blur these lines. So when you use social media, I want you to remember this. So the moral of the story is, if you feel like giving up, if you feel like you need to quit, I want you to look at your social media use. First of all, look at the kind of posts you see. Are they all negative? Are they filled with negativity? Limit your social media dependence. When you feel like you're quitting, it's mostly because you don't believe in yourself. When you feel like giving up, it's mostly because you don't trust yourself to go ahead with whatever plan, or go ahead with your journey. And that has a lot to do with your total dependence on social media. Remember that there's so much to life than your online presence, and there's so much to everybody else's life than their online presence as well. Now, the second thing, every time you feel like quitting, and I know this is going to sound really, really cliche, but it's so important that every time you feel like giving up, it's so important that you remind yourself why you started. Now, even though this may seem obvious, this is not something that we think of. So one thing that I do want you to do every time you feel like giving up or every time you feel like quitting, I want you to remind yourself why you started. When what was that quote? I used to love this as a child. Oh yeah, when the going gets tough, the tough gets going. And when the going gets tough, stop to remind yourself what you're doing. That's exactly what it is. When it gets tough, when life gets terrible and too hard to deal with, like we know, I mean, with COVID, a lot of us lost our jobs. A lot of us are at home, not able to go out, not able to go back to our normal lives. I mean, there's so many summer events that are happening that we were looking forward to go to, but we can't go to because of the delay in easing of lockdowns. And I know all of this can build up a lot of pressure and a lot of hardships in our life. Now, in these times, I want you to remember, I want you to remind yourself of how important your life is. If not for you, I want you to remind yourself how important your life is for other people around you. Think back to the beginning. Think back, before you started your job, or just when you started living alone, or just when you started your education or your career, whatever it is. What made you start? Why did you start? What was your passion? What was your motivation? So every time when you feel like quitting or when you feel like giving up, think of these things, because they can really help you to just hold on to life in general, which is what I want you to do. I want you to do whatever it takes to hold on. Don't get stuck in the details, okay? Remember the why, and that is going to help you to get your motivation back. I promise you. Now, with that being said, I have a lot more things to discuss with you, actually. I want to keep talking about this topic for quite some time because I feel like there's so much more that I need to share with you. But apart from that, there is also going to be a lot of entertainment news that I want to share with you. So make sure that you keep it tuned right here on Relax Radio.
again. But now, if you say to a child, if I went up to a child and said, you've had one to forget, God, there'd be an inquest. Me, why did you reject my son? Well, I haven't rejected your son.
I want to talk about, how the generation gap, how much it's changed, especially when you check the youth nowadays in comparison, to people back in the day.
I'd say when I was younger, it was more disciplined. Not now.
In comparison to now.
Not at all. Not now. The way things are nowadays, the younger generation, you seem that they can't accept the word no. If that makes sense.
They can't accept rejection, essentially, is all you're trying to say.
Yeah, they can't accept the word no. So if you, how did I do? Well, you didn't do very well. And they get upset, and when I was a youngster, my father used to say to me, because I used to be sport mad when I was very young, well, I still am sport mad, but like participating in different sports. And if I had a bad game, for example, my dad would say to me, you had one to forget. That's it.
Your dad sounds like a smart guy. I mean, yeah, that's the real fact of the matter, yeah.
He'd say to me, you had one to forget. Get over it. And that was it. So I dust myself down and do it again. But now, if you say to a child, if I went up to a child and said, you've had one to forget, God, there'd be an inquest. An inquest. Me, why did you reject my son? Well, I haven't rejected your son. Or daughter. I've just told them that they need to buck their ideas up.
That's the truth right there. I mean, if you think about it, if you check the generations, like right now in the US as well, I've seen a lot of these things as well. In the UK, you get medals for participation. But what's the point? What are you trying to? Yeah, what's the point? Either you win or you lose. People are so afraid to put that whole notion of losing. When it comes to right now, the generation gap is just crazy. How much. A lot has changed. Social media has taken control of our lives, and we don't even realize it anymore. We're crippled because of it.
That's absolutely right, Nick. Because, as you said, nowadays it seems that you get rewarded for failure. For the life of me, Nick, I can't get my head around that. Perhaps I'm just getting old and morbid. I don't know. I just can't get my head around how you could be rewarded for failure.
To the show. I am Jaimmy, your host on the Chat Trap, and we are going to be having some amazing conversation for the next 2 hours, and 3 hours actually, and we're going to be talking about some very interesting things. So if you're just tuning in, I want to say a big hello going out to you. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for, being a part of this journey with us, because for sure, for us, it is definitely such a pleasure to have you on board. And I want to say a very good day to everybody listening. Hope you are enjoying yourself. It is Friday, y'all, which means it's the weekend tomorrow. And I don't know about you, but I am so excited for the weekend. And I know, if you've had stressing, is that even a word? If you had a very stressed out weekend, well, I want to remind you, it's Saturday tomorrow, and I want you to, hold on for a little longer, because you are going to be getting a break tomorrow. And I want you to, enjoy your break. And I want you to remember that you definitely deserve a break, okay? We've spoken of this culture of hard work. It is definitely something that I keep coming back to, just because I think that it's really important to talk about it. We live in a society where working extremely hard is glorified. Overworking is glorified. Now, there's a huge difference between working hard and working too hard. And I want you to remind yourself, if you're that kind of person that tends to, work crazy hours without giving yourself a break, I want you to remember that at the end of the day, what's most important is your mental health. And even though physically you're like, oh no, I can work on like 4 hours of sleep and 10 hours of work and it doesn't harm me, I want to tell you that mentally it is exhausting, and you cannot tax yourself that much, which is why you deserve a break. So tomorrow is Saturday. take the weekend off, just, I don't know, watch some movies, Netflix, some good movies. There's so many great movies. We've had this conversation before. Watch some good movies, eat some good food, maybe talk to some friends, and take a break, because you definitely deserve to catch your breath. Now, with that being said, this is, of course, the Chat Up, your favorite morning show, where we talk about all things, entertainment and inspirational and everything that you need to know. So I want to say, be a part of the show, because for us, it is, like I said before, you are what's most important to us. And for me, there's nothing more important than you interacting with me. We have a couple of people listening in, and everybody's saying that they're having a nice day. We have Laura saying, hi, Jaimmy. A very big hi going out to you, Laura. We got Sam listening in. I can't pronounce your second name. I'm so sorry. But Sam, thank you for being a part of the show as well. It's definitely such a pleasure to have you on board. Now, if you want to be like them, and just drop a comment below, let me know how your day is going. Let me know if you're agreeing or disagreeing with whatever we are talking about. Just drop a comment down below if you're listening to us on any of our live platforms, or you could very simply go on to our social media and connect with me. Anytime you just need a good conversation, all you gotta do is drop a comment on one of our posts or inboxes, and we will definitely get back to you ASAP. Now, with that being said, we were talking about something very interesting earlier on, and I told you what you can do instead of giving up. But right now, what I want to do is keep you informed of what's happening with regards to the entertainment sector. Now, day before yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, we spoke about how the delay of easing of the lockdown, or restrictions rather, COVID-19 restrictions, is going to have a huge negative blow on the live event sector. We spoke of all the negative impacts it could have on the nightlife scene in the UK especially, and around the world. And I also spoke of the fact of how there were so many music festivals, summer music festivals, that were supposed to be happening in August, in the end of July, in August, and a lot of them are going to be impacted because there's a further delay of the lockdown restrictions. Now, with that being said, I just saw this article that music fans are still holding on to their tickets to thousands of postponed shows. Now, I know for a fact, and I have a couple of people that I know that did purchase tickets for some of these big music festivals, but they can't really go for these because, they have been either postponed or cancelled, or, like I said, postponed without, notification of further dates. Now, but despite all of this, what's funny to me is that a lot of music fans in the UK are sitting on hundreds of thousands of tickets for postponed concerts rather than returning them. Now, I have a few, like I said, that did buy tickets for a few of these summer festivals, and they're refusing to actually return their ticket and get their refund or whatever, and they're instead just holding on to these tickets. And I don't know why people do that, but I think it's because that's at least some hope that it's going to happen. And I know that a lot of people are so eagerly awaiting some of these music festivals to happen. Now, the latest 4-week delay to fully unlocking COVID restrictions has definitely pushed about, according to statistics, there's about 5,000 gigs in the UK that's going to be postponed, right? And artists such as Rag and Bone Man, one of my favorites, Ollie Mass and Rudimental, has scheduled shows between the 21st of June and the 19th of July, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not really sure of that, but yeah, they've started these big artists like Rag and Bone Man, Ollie Mass and Rudimental have scheduled shows between the 21st of July, 19th of July, if I'm not mistaken. Now, a lot of these gigs are facing a very real chance of postponement due to the delay of fully unlocking COVID restrictions. And industry body Live actually estimates that the events scheduled for the next 4 weeks. Whoa. Okay, I just read this and I'm so surprised. So apparently, industry body Live estimates that the events scheduled for the next 4 weeks are worth about £500 million to the struggling sector. Whoa, okay, I did not think it was that much money. I mean, there is such a lot of resources and hard work and finances that are put into making these summer festivals happen. But it's so sad that lockdown restrictions are not easing for the next 4 weeks, and that's going to cost the live event sector, especially a lot of these musical festivals, quite a lot. Now, it also means that fans remain out of pocket to see shows they forked out for many months ago. Like I told you, I have friends rather, that have spent so much money, that have saved and saved and saved just to be able to go back to one of these shows. But yeah, it's so sad that they don't really know what's happening anymore. And one of the biggest event agencies in the UK, it's called Ticketmaster, they said that 83% of the fans are actually choosing to keep hold of their tickets for these rescheduled shows instead of simply returning it. Now, according to these agencies, actually, fans are definitely entitled to a refund for any cancelled event or for any rescheduled show if they cannot make the new date. Now, it's these people also say that it's still incredible to see that fans are still holding on to their tickets. It just goes to show that there is an unwavering demand from fans in the UK to get back to live, which is absolutely true. I mean, who doesn't want to go see a show and spend some time with friends and have, a good time and party it up with your friends at a summer festival? Who wouldn't like that? I mean, that seems like heaven to me right now. Let me know, are you the type of person that attends these summer festivals? We know, like I said before, in the UK there has been a postponement rather of a lot of these live music festivals, but don't worry, you gotta have hope. You gotta believe that it's gonna get better someday, and hopefully, with regards to the restrictions not easing down, at the end of the day, I feel like it's done for the betterment of us. It's done for the betterment of our community in the UK. So I don't know, I think it's great that we are taking measures to protect ourselves, but it really, really, truly sucks for the live event entertainment industry, especially, and for so many other people out there as well. Now, I would like to know, like I said, are you the sort of person that goes for summer music festivals? Did you buy any of the tickets? Actually, let me know what your stance is. Let me know if you are waiting, if you are excited for the live event music or the live event sector as a whole to restart. Let me know what you think, because I would definitely love to hear from you. Now, with that being said, let's head on over to a little break, but make sure that you keep it tuned right here on Relaks Radio.
climb Mount Everest. That's in my bucket list. You're laughing, but that is the facts right there. I'd love to do that. That is something I'm looking forward to do, hopefully.
Climb Everest.
Mount Everest. I mean, okay, not the very tip of Mount Everest, maybe the base camp at least.
You're talking about mental health. Well, if you went out and got some exercise in the fresh air, that would improve your mental health. It will make you feel better.
That's true. That is true. I wholeheartedly agree. But then for some people, it's how do you find the motivation to, especially when it comes to riding a bicycle, to do it again and again and again and again? It's a cycle that you have to be used to. How do you do it? What makes you wake up in the morning and decide, hey, I'm going to pick my bike up today. I'm going to cycle. What makes you want to do that?
What makes me want to do that?
Yeah. What do you like? What could you give listeners, like people listening in right now? What kind of tip could you give them?
Well, the first tip I would give them, if you haven't tried it before, try it. It can open up new horizons. It will make you fitter. It will definitely make you fitter. Cycling is one of the best forms of aerobic exercise you can do.
It sounds like, I mean, if you think about it, yeah, it sounds like great fun. Because what essentially you're trying to say is also at the same time, when you, if you look at it from this perspective, with regards to mental health, especially when you look at it with mental health, this is another way to fight it. I feel like you go outside, you meet more people, you interact with, socially, you will interact with more people, and you're keeping fit, you're making connections, you're breathing in the good and exhaling the bad. I feel like that's a great thing right there.
Absolutely. Yeah, you've got a better way with words than I have, I'll tell you. But you're quite right. What you say there, you're quite right.
I mean, I've been doing this for quite some time. I mean, hey, you'll get the hang of it.
I've been doing it for about 10 minutes now, so yeah.
That I can never really understand people staying in one room the whole day when you can have the world to see. I am a traveler. I travel. I love traveling. Traveling is just one of the things I do. And yeah, on top of my bucket list was, to one time, hopefully when I get there, go to Nepal and climb Mount Everest. That is that's in my bucket list. You're laughing, but that is the facts right there. I'd love to do that. That is something I'm looking forward to do, hopefully.
Climb Everest.
Mount Everest. I mean, okay, not the very tip of Mount Everest, maybe the base camp at least.
Base camp, yeah.
At least.
Would you be able to cycle there?
Oh.
And it gives them something to look at, and it makes them laugh. It makes them laugh, so that's why I do it.
Oh, and it could be a really good pickup line as well. Ladies who ask, "Hey, excuse me, so why are you wearing something so colorful?" I mean, hey, you can always have something up on your sleeve. I mean, got me thinking. You want to stand out. Why do you want to stand out though so much, especially with these kind of shirts when you're riding? There must be a purpose behind it, right?
Well, when you say a purpose, Nick, what I do, I wear the shirts, and mainly one because they're nice and bright, so they make me visible, especially if I'm riding on the road.
Okay. Yeah, that's very important, right? Because you want cars, yeah.
Very important. And also, like, people see me in like calves, and perhaps I shouldn't be saying this on here, I suppose, but in the bar afterwards.
All right.
And it gives them something to look at, and it makes them laugh. It makes them laugh, so that's why I do it.
Oh, and it could be a really good pickup line as well. Ladies who ask, "Hey, excuse me, so why are you wearing something so colorful?" I mean, hey, you can always have something up on your sleeve. I mean, you look like a guy who would do.
You know me too well. You know me too well, Nick.
A very good morning to you and welcome back to the show. If you're just tuning in, well, then this is the Chat Up with me, Jaimmy. We've had some amazing conversations so far. We've spoken about what you need to do when you feel like giving up, and I have so much more to talk to you with regards to that, and I will do that in a bit. But we spoke of the live event industry and, the music festivals that are happening in the UK, and I kind of gave you a little rundown of which music festivals are still going on and which are not, and I also reminded reminded you that at the end of the day, see, I know that it really sucks that the UK decided to delay the restrictions, but the easing of the restrictions rather. But at the end of the day, I want to remind you that it's for our personal good. Okay, it's for the betterment of us, and it's so that we as a community can be safe. And I want to remind you to be as safe as possible. I know we get to go out and we get to interact with people. Just remember that it's your responsibility to stay safe. And as cliche as it may sound, just make sure that your hands are sanitized. Make sure that you wear a mask, because there's nothing. Prevention is always better than cure, and you can never be too safe. So try to be as safe as possible, if not for yourself, for the people around you as well. So it's your responsibility essentially to wear a mask, to use sanitizer, to sanitize your hands, and be as safe as possible. Now, with that being said, actually, I want to also remind you to be a part of the show. We have a couple of people that have been tuning in so far, and I want to say thank you so much for being a part of the show. Let me know if you're enjoying the conversation. See, Relax Radio is all about interaction. Okay, this is a community-based radio, and for us, our ultimate goal is giving you what you want, is making you happy, making you inspired, and keeping you informed. That essentially is our goal here at Relax Radio, and we want to know what you want to hear. Okay, if there's something specific that you want us to talk about, if there's something specific that you want us to address, please do go ahead and comment down below, or if you just want a conversation. Because let's be real, every single one of us needs some conversation sometimes. We all need somebody to talk to share our thoughts and ideas and opinions with, and that is what we are here for. So go right ahead, tune in, and drop a comment down below if you're listening to us on any of our social media platforms. Or very simply, you can call us up on 078 52 473 473 if you want to have a conversation, and you can join me live by calling me as well. Before we go on to the conversation, one last thing I want to remind you. I want to remind you to check us out on our social media. That is Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, TikTok as well, actually. And we go as Relax Radio. We're spelled without the X in relax, and we're all about emanating positivity. We're all about spreading positive energy and making sure that you are informed and inspired. So make sure that you tune in. Make sure that you show us some love on our social media. Make sure that you hit that thumbs up so that, we know that you like what we're doing. Or if you don't like what we're doing, that's okay as well. Go ahead and let us know, okay? Now, with that being said, I actually want to continue with the conversation that we were having earlier on, and that is what you need to do when you feel like quitting, or what you need to do instead of giving up. And we already spoke of two interesting things, and I told you that every time that you feel like you can't do this anymore, every time you feel like you want to give up, firstly, what you need to do is to limit your social media dependence. Now, we spoke of it for quite some time. We spoke of the dependency, the toxic dependency that social media has created, and I told you what you can do to limit that and eliminate that from your life. Secondly, I also told you how you need to remind yourself why you started. Every time you feel like giving up, and every time you're just like, oh, I can't do this anymore, I want you to stop and ask yourself why. Why did you start what you were doing? Why are you excited about life? Why you need to go on living life? If not for you, like I told you before, even for the people around you, right? So those are the two things that I already spoke of. But what else can you do when you feel like you can't, hang in there anymore? What else can you do when you feel like giving up? Now, this is essentially something that I have touched on quite a few times, but I'm going to keep coming back to it because I cannot even start to explain to you how important this is. And that is this idea that you absolutely need to take a break. Listen, we spoke of overworking a few days back. I can't really remember when, but we spoke of this culture of overworking. We spoke of this culture of excessive work. We put in extra hours, and this idea of overworking is kind of glorified. And trust me, being a university student, having education, having multiple jobs, I completely understand, especially with my generation, with the people I hang out with. I realize that there's this trend where people are like, oh no, I worked for 10 hours and I only slept 4 hours. Like it's some sort of achievement. Whereas I want to tell you that that's absolutely not the case. It's good to work hard, but there's such a big difference between working hard and working too hard, because there is only so much that you can take mentally. Physically you probably can do with 4 hours of sleep. Physically you can probably work for 10 hours, but mentally, trust me when I say, you get exhausted. And what's scary about mental exhaustion actually is that you don't even realize you're tired until one day you just can't take it anymore. So I want you to remember that yes, working hard is important, but give yourself a break. I told you how tomorrow is the weekend, and I don't know why, but I'm so excited for the weekend. I'm actually really excited that the weekend is here, and I definitely need a break. And trust me when I say you do too, okay? You need a break from the hustle and bustle around you. You need a break from the fast pacing world around you. So take the weekend off, take the weekend to catch a breath, because God knows you deserve it. Now, that's what I want to remind you. If you feel like giving up, if you feel like quitting, take a short break, refocus, rethink. And that, I feel like, is going to help you. Leave your desk early, maybe go for a walk, clear your head, clear your thoughts, refocus, and the short break might just be exactly what you need to give you the energy to carry on. Now, the other thing, okay, when I say this, I know when you hear it, first of all, you're going to think, oh, this is so controversial. What is she saying? How essentially is that going to help at all, especially when I feel like giving up? Now, I want you to hear me out before you make any assumptions, okay? What I want you to do when you feel like giving up, when you feel like you can't do it anymore, when you feel like quitting, I want you to do something that scares you, that genuinely terrifies you. Now, I know you're probably going to be like, oh, no, Jamie, how is that going to work? I'm already frustrated with myself, which is why I want to give up. So why are you telling us to, do something that scares us? Well, okay, hear me out, okay? Sometimes I feel like the real reason, at least in my life, this is a very personal example, and this is something that I've seen with people around me. You can be different, you can have a different scenario, but I feel like majority of the time, the real reason people quit, or the real reason people stop what they're doing and just give up, is because they lack the belief in themselves, right? You don't think you can do it. You think that, oh, what, you've got a deadline, an assignment deadline or a work deadline that's in 2 days, and you don't think you can do it. So you completely give up on the idea of even attempting to do it. That's just one example. But there are so many instances where we just give up because we believe that we don't have what it takes to actually do it. Now, when you do something that scares you, it can be as trivial or as silly as eating something that you don't normally like to eat. Or it can be, going to a rooftop if you're afraid of heights. I don't know, whatever it is that scares you. And when you do something that scares you, you essentially take a risk. And you kind of remind yourself of what you are capable of. When you do something that scares you and you actually do it, you're just like, oh my goodness, was that it? Like that feeling of I did it, this thing scared me, but I did it. That essentially gives you that energy that you need to believe in yourself, so that instead of quitting, you could actually, go ahead with whatever you're doing. Now, those are essentially the 4 things that I wanted to share with you with regards to, instead of quitting, what you can do. Now, I am all for people trying harder. I am all for people giving it another shot. And every time you feel like quitting, I am all for you trying your level best to get to that level. If you succeed or not is irrelevant. But one thing that I always tell people is try not to give up. But with that being said, I want to talk about the flip side of the coin. I want to talk about the other side of the story. I've been talking about giving up and quitting in the context of achieving your goals, in the context of being productive, in the context of, doing or achieving your dreams and becoming the best version of yourself. But with that being said, there are certainly instances, other instances in life, where the minute you understand something, you need to give up and quit. Toxic relationships, for example, toxic friendships or love relationships or whatever, the minute that you feel uncomfortable, the minute that you feel, it doesn't even have to be relationships, it can be a social situation. I want you to remember that at the end of the day, what's most important is you. What other people think are absolutely irrelevant. So what I want you to do is put yourself first. Okay? If you are uncomfortable in a certain situation, and if it's because you somebody is not treating you right, or the situation isn't treating you right, then those are instances that it's okay to give up. But what I want you to understand, or what I want you to distinguish, is the two different contexts, the two different scenarios. When it comes to achieving your goals and becoming the best version of yourself, that shouldn't be you shouldn't associate with giving up. And that's when you need to take a break to refocus. That's when you need to try harder. That's when you need to rethink, so that you don't actually give up. But there's definitely instances where you need to give up. I just want to remind you of this, because I feel like, as I was saying this, actually, I was having a conversation with one of my coworkers, and I realized that a lot of us put ourselves through situations and through relationships and social circles that are extremely frustrating for us, that have absolute negative impacts on our life. But we do it just simply because, for social status, or for a cool social media post. Trust me, I know it sounds silly, but these are things that these are things that I've done in my life. Right? So I want you to remember to always put yourself first, because at the end of the day, you can't really love anybody else if you don't love yourself. You can't respect anybody else if you don't respect yourself. And respecting yourself comes with you putting yourself first. So I think that's a really important thing to do. Let me know what you think. I would love to know your perspective. I know these are really hard to have conversations. These are very personal things, and everybody has different scenarios and contexts. And I know these are hard things to talk about, but these are essentially things that we need to talk about. These are hard conversations that must be had, which is why I thought of addressing it with you. But I would love to know what you think. Do you not agree with me? That's okay. That's perfectly fine. Just let me know by commenting down below, or by calling me on 07852 473 473. Now, with that being said, let's head on over to a little break, but make sure that you keep it tuned right here on Relax Radio, because when I come back, I am actually going to update you with some entertainment news that you absolutely need to know.
it again. But now, if you say to a child, if I went up to a child and said, "You've had one to forget," God, there'd be an inquest. Me, why did you reject my son? Well, I haven't rejected your son.
I want to talk about, how the generation gap, how much it's changed, especially when you check the youth nowadays in comparison, to people back in the day.
I'd say when I was younger, it was more disciplined. Not now.
In comparison to now.
Not at all. Not now. The way things are nowadays, the younger generation, you seem that they can't accept the word no. If that makes sense. They can't
accept rejection, essentially, is what you're trying to say.
Yeah, they can't accept the word no. So if you, how did I do? Or you didn't do very well, and they get upset, And when I was a youngster, my father used to say to me, because I used to be sport mad when I was very young. Well, I still am sport mad, but like participating in different sports. And if I had a bad game, for example, he might say to me, "You had one to forget." That's it.
Your dad sounds like a smart guy. I mean, damn, that's the real fact of the matter, yeah.
He'd say to me, "You had one to forget. Get over it." And that was it. So I dust myself down and do it again. But now, if you say to a child, if I went up to a child and said, "You've had one to forget," God, there'd be an inquest. An inquest. Me, why did you reject my son? Well, I haven't rejected your son. Or daughter. I've just told them that they need to buck their ideas up.
That's the truth right there. I mean, if you think about it, if you check the generations, like right now in the US as well, I've seen a lot of these things as well. In the UK, you get medals for participation. But what's the point? What are you trying to? Yeah, what's the point? Either you win or you lose. People are so afraid to put that whole notion of losing. When it comes to right now, the generation gap is just crazy. How much a lot has changed. Social media has taken control of our lives, and we don't even realize it anymore. We're crippled because of it.
That's absolutely right, Nick. Because, as you said, nowadays it seems that you get rewarded for failure. For the life of me, Nick, I can't get my head around that. Perhaps I'm just getting old and morbid. I don't know. I just can't get my head around how you could be rewarded for failure.
Welcome back to the show. Hope you are having yourself an amazing day today. If you are just tuning in, well, then this is the Chat Up on Relaks Radio. And if you're wondering what Relaks Radio essentially is, well, we are a community-based radio station that essentially our goal is to give you information. Our goal is to keep you informed because, listen, I feel like in today's day and age, we're all so very busy. We all have things going on. We all have things to do. And it's so hard to keep on top of things, especially if you go to watch the news or read articles. It's really hard to keep on top of things because we constantly have things going on. Now, the reason we do this, or the reason me and the entire crew talk about different things to you, is because we want you to just turn us on and keep us in the background so that you can listen to us while you do your daily chores, or while you either travel to work, or while you cook dinner for yourself, or while you do household chores. You can just listen to us and not just get some good conversation, and you can be inspired and also be informed as well. You can keep yourself on top of everything that's happening with regards to all industries, rather, because well, this show, essentially, we talk about everything with regards to inspiration and entertainment, whereas the show after me is going to keep you updated with technical news, with business news about technology, everything that with regards to finance, the next show is going to do, whereas we also have a show that keeps you updated with regards to current affairs, with regards to politics, just everything that you need to know, rather. We keep you informed right here on Relaks Radio, which is why we want you you to be a part of this journey. We want you to join in on this journey with us because, like I keep telling you, what's most important for us is you. So go right ahead and hit that like button so that we know you like what we're giving you. Give us suggestions of what you want to hear from us. Give us suggestions of what you would have us rather talk about. If there's anything specific that you want to discuss, please go ahead and comment down below, or you can access us or reach out to us at any time of the day from wherever you are by joining us on our social media platforms, that is Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. We go as Relax Radio, and we are here for you whenever you need us. Please make sure, like I told you, to drop a like if you're listening to us on social media, or if not, make sure that you drop a comment so that I know what you're thinking, if you agree with it, if you're liking what we're talking about or not, whatever it is. Please make sure to drop a comment and do so. Before we get on into the conversation, I also want to say a big thank you going out to every single one of you tuning in. It's definitely such a pleasure to have you on board. Now, with that being said, for the next couple minutes, actually, I do want to talk about, surprise, surprise, films again. And I know you're thinking, oh, Jaimmy, talk about films so often. But the reason I wanted to look at this specific type of films is because I genuinely had a question. Okay, so I just got to watching some musical related films, specifically In the Heights. Now, In the Heights is something that I spoke to you about already. But if you missed that show, well, In the Heights is basically a musical that came out very recently, and it's absolutely beautiful. I'm not going to spoil it for you. It's definitely something that you need to check out if you like something like Hamilton. If you like musicals, you are definitely going to love In the Heights. Now, with that being said, a question I had is musicals as a genre of film has become so popular in the entertainment industry and in the film industry. We had so many amazing musicals come out last year, the year before. Last year there was a huge gap, I feel like, in the film industry and in all industries because of COVID-19, surprise, surprise. But in general, I feel like the past couple of years, we've had such amazing musicals that have been released. And I was wondering why essentially, from Queen to Springsteen, why are there so many music films now? And I know that's probably something that you were wondering too. So I just wanted to look into the musical industry or the musical film industry in the entertainment industry and talk to you about some musicals that you definitely need to check out. Now, I feel like, at the end of the day, there is such a craze in society. I was just scrolling through Twitter, actually, and especially because of In the Heights, there has been such a craze for music film, right? For cinema goers through 2019, I feel like, 2019, definitely 2019 has been the year for musicals, has been the year for music films, which is why I wanted to talk about this. If you have a specific musical that you absolutely love, is it from Queen to Springsteen to Beauty and the Beast, whatever it is, if you have a musical that you love to watch, let me know and we can definitely talk about it. But this year it's not yet even September. We're still half the month through, and we've already had movies powered by the sonic might of Sir Elton John, the Beatles, Motley Crue, Bruce Springsteen, as well as Liam Gallagher and Bob Dylan and Cohen. And that's been, I can't even remember half of the names of the musicians that have been in music films, that have had features in films. But one thing that we know for clear is there's been such a huge, expansion of music in film, right? I think the reason why film industries as a whole keep pumping out a lot of music content in their films is because they essentially have realized that that's what fans and that's what cinema goers and that's what film lovers are demanding, right? With Judy Garland and Michael Hutchins and Susie and George Michael flavored features still to come, I feel like by Christmas this year, by Christmas 2021, we'll have seen enough singers and the pictures to fill up the entire 2020 wall calendar, right? Like, am I crazy for thinking that? But I feel like there's been so many musicians that have been included in films. Now, not to mention the big name remarks of classical musical animations like The Lion King. Oh my goodness, that was something else. Lion King. Ooh, that have you watched it? Because I watched it, and that definitely was so reminiscent of my childhood. It gave me so much nostalgia, and I absolutely loved it. But that's a story for another time. But yeah, we've had Lion King and Aladdin, and the curious trailer for the cinematic adaptation of the stage musical Cats. Now, what exactly is driving this resurgence in on-screen sing-alongs? Okay, like I told you, first of all, I feel like music, why there's been so many musicals that's created is one, because fans are loving it, obviously. I mean, look at all the musical movies that were created in the past few years, and they have been such a hit amongst cinema goers and film lovers alike. And I feel like producers are just adding music because they've realized that this is what fans want. But also, okay, so the reason I decided to talk about this actually is because I also got to watch this amazing movie. It is called Blinded by the Light, and I don't know if it's like too popular, but it's definitely something that you need to watch because it's so worth it. Now, I'm not going to spoil the plot, but Blinded by the Light hit the cinemas last week, I think. I'm not really sure, but it essentially tells the story of this boy called Javed, right? And he's this British Pakistani teen growing up in London in the late 1980s, and it's just how his music, or rather his life, unravels with music. And it's a very typical coming of age tale, growing pains and culture clashes and breaking free. But however, for me, what I absolutely loved is that Javed's journey, that's the character from the movie Blinded by the Light, is carried stylishly with his newfound favorite, that's Bruce Springsteen. Okay, this young boy who is half Pakistani, who is actually full Pakistani, who comes to Britain to actually as an immigrant family, and he kind of gets used to life, or he kind of deals with life with the help of music. And okay, to be honest, I'm not the most musically talented person, but I feel like movies like this, because music is something that just kind of connects communities, and I feel like Blinded by the Light, which is a musical, essentially portrayed that idea. It showed that despite differences in languages, despite differences in thoughts and opinions, despite differences in cultures, music essentially can bring us together. And that is why I absolutely loved Blinded by the Light, and it also incorporated Bruce Springsteen's music as well. And I feel like that incorporation essentially taught children like me, or the newer generations, and introduced us to this whole new scope of music, which is absolutely amazing. So definitely check out Blinded by the Light if you still haven't. It came to cinemas last week, and it is absolutely amazing. I don't want to spoil it for you any further, but it's definitely worth checking out. Now, apparently this movie is also made so to portray this kind of linkage that I spoke to you about. But yeah, let's talk about other movies, okay, and why producers keep adding musical tracks or creating movies that are centered around music. For me, one of the biggest musical movies was essentially Queen. And I don't know if you agree with me, but Queen is definitely one of the most amazing musical bands. And they have such amazing music. And with the movie Queen in itself, it kind of introduced this music to a whole new generation of people. It introduced iconic songs and iconic songs essentially to a whole new generation of people, which I think is absolutely amazing. And yeah, that's the other thing. Music is the number one trigger for nostalgia. Okay, according to the Buffett at Spotify, we make the most enduring emotional connections to the songs that we've enjoyed in the early times of our lives. So this feel-good factor created by hearing old songs that we love in music, like in rather movies like Rocketman and Yesterday and Bohemian Rhapsody, helped us to momentarily kind of turn back time. Which is why things like Bohemian Rhapsody blew up so much. It not just introduced good music to a new generation, but it also gave us so much nostalgia, so much to reminisce about. which is what I think is amazing about including music in movies. Movies are already amazing. You've already heard me gloat and talk about movies over and over again, but music, what's the word? Fused with music is just a whole different experience. Now, additionally, there has been so many other musical movies that have been released, and another people apparently, while producers are introducing music in their films more and more, is also because people crave escapism during uncertain times. You know, forget your troubles, come on, get happy, is something that you obviously heard Julie Garland sing in Summer Stock back in 1950s, if I'm not mistaken. But she could just be easily singing it today. It transcends time, which is again what's amazing about music in film. So I think at the end of the day, the musical film enjoyed 2 years ago, two early golden eras. First in the 1930s with US productions like 42nd Street and The Great Depression took hold, and then again with MGM films like The Singing in the Rain during, directly, and after the Second World War. So these music incorporated movies have essentially been sources of escapism, which is amazing, right? The fact that you can use a movie to escape reality. And of course, musicals and music films includes, some of my favorites includes La La Land and The Great Showman. Oh my goodness, The Great Showman. Trust me, I feel like the entire world at one point after The Greatest Showman was released, the entire world was singing along to songs from Greatest Showman. That's the impact that music in movies have, and that I think is absolutely amazing. Now, I want to definitely know which of the musical movies that you enjoy. Are you the type that doesn't like music in movies? Whatever it is, let me know. I would absolutely love to hear from you. The number to call me is 07852473473, or you could very simply comment down below if you're listening to us on any of our live platforms. Join in on the conversation, because we will always get back to you. Even if it's after the show, if you're listening to this post live stream, that's still okay, because we reply to all of our comments, and tomorrow or Monday when I do my show again, I can definitely address some of your queries or some of your concerns, if that's it. Now, with that being said, let's head on over to a few breaks actually, but make sure that you stay tuned right here on Relax Radio, because we have a lot more that we want to talk to you and share with you.
And climb Mount Everest. That is one of my that's in my bucket list. You're laughing, but that is the facts right there. I'd love to do that. That is something I'm looking forward to do. Hopefully,
Climb Everest.
Mount Everest. I mean, okay, not the very tip of Mount Everest. Maybe the base camp at least.
They're talking about mental health. Well, if you went out and got some exercise in the fresh air, that would improve your mental health. It will make you feel better.
That's true. That is true. I wholeheartedly agree. But then for some people, it's how do you find the motivation to, especially when it comes to riding a bicycle, to do it again and again and again and again? It's a cycle that you have to be used to. How do you do it? What makes you wake up in the morning and decide, hey, I'm going to pick my bike up today. I'm going to cycle. What makes you want to do that?
What makes me want to do that?
Yeah. What do you like? What could you give listeners, like people listening in right now? What kind of tip could you give them?
Well, the first tip I would give them, if you haven't tried it before, try it. It can open up new horizons. It will make you fitter. It will definitely make you fitter. Cycling is one of the best forms of aerobic exercise you can do.
It sounds like, if you think about it, yeah, it sounds like great fun. Because what essentially you're trying to say is also at the same time, when you, if you look at it from this perspective, with regards to mental health, especially when you look at it with mental health, this is another way to fight it. I feel like you go outside, you meet more people, you interact with, socially, you'll interact with more people, and you're keeping fit, you're making connections, you're breathing in the good and exhaling the bad. I feel like that's a great thing right there.
Absolutely. Yeah, you got a better way with words than I have, I'll tell you. But you're quite right. What you say there. You're quite right.
I've been doing this for quite some time. Hey, you'll get the hang of it.
I've been doing it for about 10 minutes now, so yeah.
That I can never really understand people staying in one room the whole day when you can have the world to see. I am a traveler. I travel. I love traveling. Traveling is just one of the things I do. And yeah, on top of my bucket list was, to one time, hopefully when I get there, go to Nepal and climb Mount Everest. That is one of that's in my bucket list. You're laughing, but that is the facts right there. I'd love to do that. That is something I'm looking forward to do, hopefully.
Climb Everest.
Mount Everest. Okay, not the very tip of Mount Everest, maybe the base camp at least.
Base camp, yeah.
At least.
Would you be able to cycle there?
Oh.
it again. But now, if you say to a child, if I went up to a child and said, "You've had one to forget," God, there'd be an inquest. An inquest. They'd ask me, "Why did you reject my son?" Well, I haven't rejected your son.
I want to talk about, how the generation gap, has how much it's changed, especially when you check the youth nowadays in comparison, to people back in the day.
I'd say when I was younger, it was more disciplined. Not now.
In comparison to now.
Not at all. Not now. The way things are nowadays, the younger generation, you seem that they can't accept the word no. If that makes sense. They can't
accept rejection, essentially, is all you're trying to say.
Yeah, they can't accept the word no. So if you, how did I do? Or you didn't do very well, and they get upset, And when I was a youngster, my father used to say to me, because I used to be sport mad when I was very young. Well, I still am sport mad, but like participating in different sports. And if I had a bad game, for example, my dad say to me, "You had one to forget." That's it.
Your dad sounds like a smart guy. I mean, yeah, that's the real fact of the matter. Yeah.
He said to me, "You had one to forget. Get over it," and that was it. So I dust myself down and do it again. But now, if you say to a child, if I went up to a child and said, "You've had one to forget," God, there'd be an inquest. An inquest. They'd ask me, "Why did you reject my son?" Well, I haven't rejected your son. Or daughter. I've just told them that they need to buck their ideas up.
That's the truth right there. I mean, if you think about it, if you check the generations, like right now in the US as well, I've seen a lot of these things as well. In the UK, you get medals for participation. But what's the point? What are you trying to? Yeah, what's the point? Either you win or you lose. People are so afraid to put that whole notion of losing. When it comes to right now, the generation gap is just crazy. How much a lot has changed. Social media has taken control of our lives, and we don't even realize it anymore. We're crippled because of it.
That's absolutely right, Nick. Because, as you said, nowadays it seems that you get rewarded for failure. For the life of me, Nick, I can't get my head around that. Perhaps I'm just getting old and morbid. I don't know. I just can't get my head around how you could be rewarded for failure.
Welcome back to the show. This is the Chat Wrap. If you're just tuning in, welcome. It's definitely such a pleasure to have you on board. So far, we've been actually having such interesting conversation. We've been talking about a lot of different things, actually. And I just want to remind you that keep aside everything. I want to remind you that it's so important for us that you are enjoying. And I told you how tomorrow is the weekend, and it's so important that you take a break for yourself, that you take some time off to, catch a breath, to just have some fun. Okay, and I think what's most important in life, something that we forget on a day-to-day basis, is that at the end of the day, what's most important is that you live life instead of just existing. I feel like a lot of us just spend life doing our 9-to-5 jobs, just sticking to society's timeline of what we should accomplish, instead of actually thinking to ourselves, what do I want? What do I want to accomplish? Keep aside what society expects of me. Keep aside what my family expects of me. Keep aside what other people expect of me. What do I want to do within the few years that I live here on earth? Now, I feel like it can be a really scary thing for me personally. That is something that I don't want to even think about, just because that's scary. It's scary to think of, oh shoot, what do I need to be doing in life? And that's a very scary question to ask yourself. But I feel like it's really important that you do, despite the fear factor of it. And earlier on, we spoke about how it's important that you do things that scare you, how you do things that kind of, you need to take a risk. And I think figuring out what you want with life, as opposed to what social media tells you, as opposed to what society tells you, figuring out what you want to do with life is absolutely important. And I feel like that essentially is the foundation to success. I don't know about you, but for me, success isn't necessarily measured in how much money you have, or what big of a house, or what big of how amazing of a car you have. It really isn't measured by physical what do I say, luxuries. Success at the end of the day isn't measured by physical luxuries, and I think it's all about an internal state of mind. If you are happy with what you do, if you're truly content with waking up every day, and it's not a show, and waking up is more of a pleasant experience than actually doing it because you have to, that point in life, when you get to that point in life, I feel like that essentially is success. Now I want to know what you think. Okay, what do you think? Do you think success is determined by physical assets? Is success determined by how much money you have? Trust me, I know having money can be really amazing. You can buy yourself nice things, but what I'm trying to say is success isn't limited to physical assets. Happiness isn't limited to how much money you have, because at the end of the day, if you spend all your time and effort trying to earn money, and if you don't actually spend it with the people that you love and with yourself as well, what's the point of earning so much? What's the point of working so hard? What's the point of being so busy all the time if you don't take time to kind of reap the benefits of working so hard? Does that make sense to you? Because that definitely is something that motivates me on a day-to-day basis to kind of love the life that I'm living, and that I think is something that we all need to try to at least comprehend. Now, with that being said, like I said before, I want to know what you are thinking. Go right ahead and call me up on 07852473473, or you could very simply connect with me on our social media, that is Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. We go as Relax Radio, and we are, just giving you good content all throughout, and we've made it our goal to keep you informed, inspired, and entertained. So let us know what you're thinking. Let us know if there's something that you want us to add on. Is there something that you want us to speak about specifically? Go right ahead and tell us, because suggestions are absolutely welcome and appreciated, actually. So go right ahead and have a conversation, start a conversation with us on our social media platforms. That's Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And just let's have a good time together. Now, with that being said, I want to talk about an artist in the music industry that hasn't been spoken about for quite some time, and that's David Guetta. Now, I feel like David Guetta did have some amazing music some time back, but if I'm not mistaken, he hasn't really gotten to the music scene as of recent. Now, why he's headlining again and why everybody's talking about David Guetta as of now is not because of his music, but because he sells his songs for a 9-figure sum. Now, keep aside the 9-figure sum. I'm just out here trying to figure out what selling songs means. So what I want to do is try to share with you a few information, a few facts rather, and tell you what exactly is happening with regards to the music world. Now, David Guetta is the producer behind hits like, okay, what's my favorite? Oh my goodness. My favorite David Guetta hit is Titanium. I don't know if you've heard it, but it is such an amazing song, and Sia is amazing. Sia sings it, and it's produced by David Guetta, and it's just, the music is amazing. It's just one of those tracks that you can listen to over and over again, but still be inspired or still be moved by the quality of music. So David Guetta produced hits like Titanium. I Got a Feeling is another song. Hey Mama is another song. And those are essentially songs that were being produced by David Guetta. Now, he rose from his roots as a club DJ in Paris, and he became one of the world's leading dance producers. And the French star actually made about $100 million in the deal, which essentially consists of him selling his catalog to Warner Music, which is insane. Like what? I didn't even know that's possible. I didn't even know that musicians or artists or producers could essentially sell their music to companies like the Warner Brothers or other huge companies for such a huge sum. I mean, he sold it for life, mind you. He sold his music to Warner Music for about $100 million in the deal, which also covers his future recordings. And people familiar with the negotiations said that he is basically well off, and he took this decision because he wanted to do things with the funds that he received. Now it comes amidst a spending spree on hit songs with Bob Dylan and Paul Simon's catalogs also selling for millions like this. So Guetta is just one of the biggest figures in pop and dance since in the 21st century. Okay, it's been so long, and he has been just a prominent icon for so long. He is about 52 years. He should be about 52 years of age now, and he has sold over 50 million records and racked up more than 14 billion, close to, well, billions and billions and billions of streams, and has worked with artists like Rihanna, Bruno Mars, Justin Bieber, Black Eyed Peas, Nicki Minaj, and of course Sia. Now he started off, like I told you, as a DJ in Paris and Ibiza, and he made his name with an unauthorized remix of David Bowie's Heroes. So his first UK number one was back in I can't even remember when was David Guetta's. I think it was back in 2009 actually, and it was called "When Love Takes Over." Yeah, it was back in 2009. So he became his first UK number one was rather back in 2009 when he with Love. When Love Takes Over, actually, and it recorded with Destiny's Child singer Kelly Rowland. Now he is currently back in the top 10 with Little Mix collab. Oh, okay. So I didn't know this. I completely forgot about his Little Mix collaboration, and that's called Heartbreak Anthem. So he is topping charts yet again, and David Guetta is just one of those artists that have been consistently amazing. Since 2009, like I told you, the UK's number one was in 2009 with something called When Love Takes Over, and since then he has been producing such amazing music that all of us from around the world can listen to and vibe to. And yeah, I just wanted to keep you informed that David Guetta actually sold his songs for a 9-figure sum. Now, with that being said, speaking of the music industry, actually, I just touched on it a few days back, and I told you that the top recording artists of 2020, the list was actually released by the music agency. And I spoke of actually the headliners. I told you that number one was BTS. Can you believe that BTS is the highest recording artist of the year 2020? Like, oh my goodness. Firstly, they're one of the first non-Western, non-English speaking, whereas the lyrics are not predominantly English, and they're one of the first groups to top the list. Second comes Taylor Swift. We have who are the others? I think we have people like Eminem is still on that list, by the way. Eminem is still somebody that is being streamed all throughout the world, despite him kind of being laid back as of recent. But yeah, BTS tops that list, and artists like Dua Lipa and Harry Styles have essentially prompted UK's export music industry. So I spoke about this as well, but if you missed it, essentially we saw musicians like Dua Lipa and Harry Styles and even Anne Marie. They've been doing such amazing things, and they essentially have contributed to UK's music export industry essentially. And the UK's music export industry has risen last year and this year thanks to people like Dua Lipa and Harry Styles. Now, with that being said, I want to know who you love to listen to. Have you heard of David Guetta? I spoke about him for quite some time. What is your favorite track? Do you love Sia's collaboration with David Guetta? Did you love it? What did you think? Titanium, I think, is one of the most iconic tracks out there. The music is amazing. Sia is amazing. Her vocals are absolutely amazing. What do you think of? What do you actually think of David Guetta? Who is your favorite artist that has topped the recording charts in 2020? We have BTS, like I told you, we have BTS topping the chart on number one. That is a K-pop group. If you haven't heard of them, they are so famous around the world. I feel like it's like a wave of K-pop washed over the world. We have Taylor Swift, of course, the legend on the album. We have people like Eminem on the album as well. The Weeknd is on that on rather the list of the top recording artists of 2020. Now, with that being said, I'm going to head on over to a little break, but make sure that you keep it tuned right here on Relax Radio, because we are most definitely going to be talking about a lot of interesting things. I have a lot more to share with you, so make sure that you keep it tuned right here on Relax Radio.
And it gives them something to look at, and it makes them laugh. It makes them laugh. So that's why I do it.
Oh, and it could be a really good pickup line as well. Ladies who ask, "Hey, excuse me, so why are you wearing something so colorful?" I mean, hey, you can always have something up on your sleeve. I mean, got me thinking. You want to stand out. Why do you want to stand out though so much, especially with these kind of shirts when you're riding? There must be a purpose behind it, right?
Well, when you say a purpose, Nick, what I do, I wear the shirts, mainly one because they're nice and bright, so they make me visible, especially if I'm riding on the road.
Okay. I mean, yeah, that's very important, right? Because you want cars, yeah.
Very important. And also, like, people see me in like calves, and perhaps I shouldn't be saying this on here, I suppose, but in the bar afterwards.
All right.
And it gives them something to look at, and it makes them laugh. It makes them laugh, so that's why I do it.
Oh, and it could be a really good pickup line as well. Ladies who ask, "Hey, excuse me, so why are you wearing something so colorful?" I mean, hey, you can always have something up on your sleeve. I mean, you look like a guy who would do.
You know me too well. You know me too well, Nick. again. But now, if you say to a child, if I went up to a child and said, "You've had one to forget," God, there'd be an inquest. Me, why did you reject my son? Oh, I haven't rejected your son.
I want to talk about, how the generation gap, has how much it's changed, especially when you check the youth nowadays in comparison, to people back in the day.
I'd say when I was younger, it was more disciplined. Not now.
In comparison to now.
Not at all. Not now. The way things are nowadays, the younger generation, you seem that they can't accept the word no. If that makes sense. They can't
accept rejection, essentially, is all you're trying to say.
Yeah, they can't accept the word no. So if you, how did I do? Or you didn't do very well, and they get upset, And when I was a youngster, my father used to say to me, because I used to be sport mad when I was very young. Well, I still am sport mad, but like participating in different sports. And if I had a bad game, for example, he'd say to me, "You had one to forget." That's it.
Your dad sounds like a smart guy. I mean, yeah, that's the real fact of the matter, yeah.
He'd say to me, "You had one to forget. Get over it." And that was it. So I'd dust myself down and do it again. But now, if you say to a child, if I went up to a child and said, "You've had one to forget," God, there'd be an inquest. Me, why did you reject my son? Oh, I haven't rejected your son. Or daughter. I've just told them that they need to buck their ideas up.
That's the truth right there. I mean, if you think about it, if you check the generations, like right now in the US as well, I've seen a lot of these things as well. In the UK, you get medals for participation. But what's the point? What are you trying to? Yeah, what's the point? Either you win or you lose. People are so afraid to put that whole notion of losing. When it comes to right now, the generation gap is just crazy. How much a lot has changed. Social media has taken control of our lives, and we don't even realize it anymore. We're crippled because of it.
That's absolutely right, Nick. Because as you said, nowadays it seems that you get rewarded for failure. For the life of me, Nick, I can't get my head around that. Perhaps I'm just getting old and morbid, I don't know. I just can't get my head around how you could be rewarded for failure.
Welcome back to the show. A very good day to you. If you are listening in from the UK, a good morning to you. If you're listening in from around the world, because we have a couple of people listening in from around the world, actually. And I want to say a big thank you going out to you. Thank you for being a part of the show. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being a part of this journey with us, okay? And like I've been telling you, what's most important to us is you. For us, it's absolutely important that you are having a good time. It's absolutely important for us that you are enjoying yourselves, which is why we want you to be a part of the show. So if there's something that you specifically want us to talk about, or if you want to add a new perspective or a new idea, go right ahead and do so by commenting down below. If you're listening to us on our live platforms, or by interacting with us on our social media, that is Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and TikTok. We go as Relaks Radio, and we're here to give you the best of content 24/7, 365. Now, earlier on, actually, we've been talking about quite a lot of entertainment-related news. But right now, what I want to do is to share with you a few lifestyle tips, okay? And I feel like this is going to be inspirational, and it's going to help you to essentially better yourself, which is why I want to share this with you. All right. Now, I'm going to talk to you about being healthy. And if you ask anybody, and wait, before you say, "Oh, no, this is not a topic for me," trust me, okay, I'll give you a personal example, okay? For me personally, I have such a a rocky relationship with food. Like, I absolutely love food, but the kinds of food I love aren't essentially broccoli, or isn't broccoli, or I don't know, healthy stuff. I love pasta. I love chocolates. I love cereal. I love all the things that aren't good for me, and that essentially is my toxic relationship with food. But what I want to try, coming from me, being a person that has trouble, sticking to a healthy meal plan or sticking to a healthy diet, it's not easy for me. Being the lover of fast food, being the lover of snacks, being the lover of sugary cereals, it's not easy thing for me to do. But I feel like in the past couple months, in the past couple years, I've done a few things, and there are a few things that I motivate myself with that I feel like can be really, really interesting, and that can be really motivational for you as well. Which is why I kind of wanted to share with you what you could do in order to become healthy and follow a healthy diet. Now, first of all, how are the two interrelated? Now, if you ask somebody, oh, how do I be healthy? The first response most probably is going to be eat a healthy diet. But now I know you've heard this 100 times. I know this is probably one of the most common things to hear around. But what does this even mean? What does it mean to eat a healthy diet? Now, I don't know. Okay, I feel like the ketogenic diet is extremely popular now, and if you ask the followers of this trendy ketogenic diet, they're going to say, "Oh, eating healthy means shunning sweet potatoes and quinoa in favor of cheese and coconut oil." Whereas, if you ask another person, "What does eating healthy mean?" they'll say, "Oh, eating healthy essentially is avoiding sugary foods like ice cream and candy at all costs." And someone might even tell you to avoid all dairy and mixed gluten. So, see, the problem is uh, this back and forth about what's truly healthy can cause so much confusion, not just to you, but to literally every single person. Nobody really knows what to eat and what not to eat, because some person says, "Oh no, sugary foods is good for you because it boosts your metabolism, whereas fats are good for you, it boosts your metabolism, and you should eat like 4 meals a day." Whereas there's somebody else on the opposite spectrum that says, "No, do not eat anything with sugar, do not eat anything with dairy, restrict your diets." So it's very all over the place, to say the least. Advice about eating healthy is so confusing. Okay, trust me, I know. There's literally so many articles advocating everything, and you're kind of just like, "Oh my goodness, what do I follow?" Now that's what I want to try to help you comprehend in the next couple of minutes. Okay, so see, okay, what I want you to do is, first of all, it's not this idea of restrictive diets is extremely unsustainable and unnecessary. Okay, this idea of starving yourself to get healthy isn't actually getting healthy. You're just creating yourself an even unhealthier environment. Okay, so actually eating healthy is not as hard as you think. It's actually so much simpler than you may think. So what I want to do is to firstly show you the difference between healthy versus unhealthy eating. What essentially is this difference? What is this difference categorized by? Now, see, a lot of people say that plant-based eating patterns is the way to go. Now, I read a couple of articles, and I know people that follow this, and I'm not meaning plant-based diets on all 7 days of the week. Maybe, if you are an avid meat eater like I am, I love a good, I love my meat. But okay, see, at the end of the day, a plant-based eating pattern is extremely good for you. Okay, when food is processed or when it's refined, it's stripped of, its fibers, its vitamins and minerals, and preservatives are added in their place when foods are processed or refined. Which is why if you have an organic or almost like a farm to table plant-based eating pattern, it is so much better for you, because keep aside being healthy or unhealthy, you're not putting your body through so much toxins that come with processed meats and processed dairy and processed, just everything. right? Which is why keep aside healthy, you're just getting more vitamins, you're just getting more minerals and nutrients when you eat things that are fresh, that are organic, and that is plant based, because there's only, you can't really add preservatives, you can't really add toxins to a farm to table, I don't know, a good set of vegetables, right? Which is why it's so important that you try to follow a plant based eating pattern. But healthy eating does not mean restricting yourself in any way. See, at the end of the day, according to a lot of researchers, people who consume more plant based diets have lower risks of all the chronic diseases. Now, if you don't want to be 60 years old and suffering with all of these chronic diseases like diabetes, cancer, and all of these chronic diseases, if you don't want them, definitely one thing that you need to try to do at least is to get yourself on a plant-based diet, even if it's for a few days a week. Obviously, I know the transition from being a meat lover to being somebody that loves meat to plant-based is not going to be easy. But what I want you to try to do is at least a few days a week, try to have a more plant-based diet, which means you're going to consume more fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, fresh items that are healthy for you, that is good for your body, that is enriched with vitamins and minerals, and all the essential nutrients that your body absolutely needs to function. um, See, now the other thing that I do want to talk about is something that is going to sound very not normal. Okay, it's not something that what's the word? It's not something that you normally associate with healthy eating, but I think healthy eating has a lot to do with your positive relationship with food. Okay, healthy eating has a lot to do with cultivating a happy relationship with food. A lot of people that are trying to get healthy, or that are trying to restrict their diets, have such a negative relationship with food. But I want you to remember that food is not the enemy. Rather, what I want you to focus on is what you shouldn't be eating. A plant-based diet doesn't have to taste like nothing. I try to have plant-based meals, and that's a lot coming from me, because I absolutely, like I told you before, I love my pastas, I love my pizzas topped with a lot of meat and sausage, or whatever it is. I love it. But trying to have a plant-based diet, and as a person that's trying, I can tell you that plant-based diets doesn't essentially mean bland, unedible food, if inedible food. So one thing that I want you to do is think about what you can add to your plate that will improve your health. Like nuts, for a hearty, healthy, monosaturated fatty acid, or raspberries for their fibers and your antioxidants. Add these little things to your diet so that you're adding essential nutrients to your everyday food. So this is essentially, I think, the first step that you need to do in order to, get healthy and get fit and have a healthy relationship with food. Start adding plant-based items like nuts, like fruits to your food. And, it's not only just going to enhance the flavor, it's going to taste so much better, but it's also giving you all the nutrients that you need. Now, see, okay, now you probably ask me, I can't be bothered. I only live once. I might as well enjoy and eat everything possible. But let me tell you why it's important that you make healthy food choices. I feel like food is one of the most important tools for a good life. Yeah, mental health is important. Yeah, mental health is important. Yeah, physical health is important. But all of these things are connected to the food that you eat. Because at the end of the day, it's obvious that a healthy diet can essentially help you prevent disease. When you have poor nutrition, smoking, lack of exercise, and excessive alcohol are the top causes for chronic diseases in the UK, in the US, and so many other countries. So if you want to prevent diseases that are absolutely preventable, start eating healthy right now, because I know you live once and I know you need to enjoy, but the life that you live, if you have to suffer towards the end of your life, then what's the point of your life? So might as well make that conscious decision now. Yeah, enjoy life, but make sure that you minimize as much as processed foods as possible and add plant-based items to your diet. Now, another thing that I do want to talk about is the impact of food to your mental health. It's not just your physical health that can see a boost when you prioritize a healthy diet. See, according to a lot of research, food choices also affect your mental health. So when you have a diet rich in vitamins and minerals, and it's always associated with a low risk for mental health disorders, including things like anxiety, depression, and ADHD. So it's so important that you eat healthy, not just to look good, as opposed to what social media proclaims. Like um, eating a healthy diet has nothing to do with looking like a perfect person. It's about becoming a good person, becoming a healthy person inwards. So those are a few things that I wanted to point out. If you're struggling with your diet, if you're struggling with your food, trust me that there's so many sources of help out there, but nobody can help you unless you reach out. So I want you to reach out if you are struggling, if you're having, food disorders, or if you have a negative relationship with food. It's so important that you reach out to people and ask for help, because in the UK especially, there is so much help that is available to you. Like I said, you can't be helped unless you allow help to enter into your life. So allow that, make that conscious decision. And if you're having trouble, well, then know that there is help out there. And at the end of the day, just hope. Okay, hope that everything's going to get better. And I think that hope is what essentially is going to keep you afloat. Now, with that being said, let's head on over to a little break, but make sure that you keep it tuned right here on Relax Radio, because we have a lot more things that we are going to be talking about.
Climb Mount Everest. That is one of that's in my bucket list. You're laughing, but that is the facts right there. I'd love to do that. That is something I'm looking forward to do, hopefully.
Climb Everest.
Mount Everest. I mean, okay, not the very tip of Mount Everest, maybe the base camp at least.
They're talking about mental health. Well, if you went out and got some exercise in the fresh air, that will improve your mental health. It will make you feel better.
That's true. That is true. I wholeheartedly agree. But then for some people, it's how do you find the motivation to, especially when it comes to riding a bicycle, to do it again and again and again and again? It's a cycle that you have to be used to. How do you do it? What makes you wake up in the morning and decide, hey, I'm going to pick my bike up today. I'm going to cycle. What makes you want to do that?
What makes me want to do that?
Yeah. What do you like? What could you give listeners, like people listening in right now? What kind of tip could you give them?
Well, the first tip I would give them If you haven't tried it before, try it. It can open up new horizons. It will make you fitter. It will definitely make you fitter. Cycling is one of the best forms of aerobic exercise you can do.
It sounds like, I mean, if you think about it, yeah, it sounds like great fun. Because what essentially you're trying to say is also at the same time, when you, if you look at it from this perspective, with regards to mental health, especially when you look at it with mental health, this is another way to fight it. I feel like you go outside, you meet more people, you interact with, socially, you will interact with more people, and you're keeping fit, you're making connections, you're breathing in the good and exhaling the bad. I feel like that's a great thing right there.
Absolutely. Yeah, you got a better way with words than I have, I'll tell you. But you're quite right. What you say there. You're quite right.
I mean, I've been doing this for quite some time. I mean, hey, you'll get the hang of it.
I've been doing it for about 10 minutes now, so yeah.
That I can never really understand people staying in one room the whole day when you can have the world to see. I am a traveler. I travel. I love traveling. Traveling is just one of the things I do. And yeah, on top of my bucket list was, to one time, hopefully when I get there, go to Nepal and climb Mount Everest. That is one of that's in my bucket list. You're laughing, but that is the facts right there. I'd love to do that. That is something I'm looking forward to do, hopefully.
Climb Everest.
Mount Everest. I mean, okay, not the very tip of Mount Everest, maybe the base camp at least.
Base camp, yeah.
At least.
Would you be able to cycle there?
Oh.
Again. But now, if you say to a child, if I went up to a child and said, you've had one to forget, God, there'd be an inquest. Me, why did you reject my son? Oh, I haven't rejected your son.
I want to talk about, how the generation gap, has how much it's changed, especially when you check the youth nowadays in comparison, to people back in the day.
I'd say when I was younger, it was more disciplined. Not now.
In comparison to now.
Not at all. Not now. The way things are nowadays, the younger generation, you seem that they can't accept the word no, if that makes sense.
They can't accept rejection, essentially, is all you're trying to say.
Yeah, they can't accept the word no. So if you, how did I do? Or you didn't do very well, and they get upset, you know. And when I was a youngster, my father used to say to me, because I used to be sport mad when I was very young. Well, I still am sport mad, but like participating in different sports. And if I had a bad game, for example, I'd say to me, "You had one to forget." That's it.
Your dad sounds like a smart guy. I mean, yeah, that's the real fact of the matter. Yeah.
You know, he'd say to me, "You had one to forget. Get over it," and that was it. So I'd dust myself down and do it again. But now, if you say to a child, if I went up to a child and said, "You've had one to forget," God, there'd be an inquest. An inquest. I mean, why did you reject my son? Oh, I haven't rejected your son. Or daughter. I've just told them that they need to buck their ideas up.
That's the truth right there. I mean, if you think about it, if you check the generations, like right now in the US as well, I've seen a lot of these things as well. In the UK, you know, you get medals for participation. But what's the point? What are you trying to? Yeah, what's the point? Either you win or you lose. People are so afraid to put that whole notion of losing. You know, when it comes to right now, the generation gap is just crazy. You know how much. A lot has changed. Social media has taken control of our lives, and we don't even realize it anymore. We're crippled because of it.
That's absolutely right, Nick. Because, as you said, you know, nowadays it seems that you get rewarded for failure. You know, for the life of me, Nick, I can't get my head around that. Perhaps I'm just getting old and morbid. I don't know. I just can't get my head around how you could be rewarded for failure.
Welcome back to the show. Hope you are having yourself an amazing day. If you're just tuning in, well, then this is the Chat Up on Relax Radio. Hope you are, enjoying your day so far. It is a Friday, and I don't know about you, but I'm super excited for the weekend. I can't wait to stop and catch a breath. And so far, actually, we've been talking of such interesting things. We've been talking of a spectrum of things, actually, from entertainment to inspiration to, tips on how you can better yourself. These are all things that we've been talking about in the span of the last 2 hours. And I want to tell you that that's essentially what we do here at Relax Radio, okay? We make sure to give you the best of information and keep you informed about things that you absolutely need to know within the day with our plethora of different shows, okay? The show after me essentially will keep you informed about business news, about tech news, about finance, whereas we also have a show that speaks of politics, of current affairs, everything that you need to know right here on Relax Radio. Now, with that being said, before we move on into the next part of the conversation, I want to remind you to be a part of the show. I want to say a big thank you to everybody that has been talking to me so far. It's definitely been such a pleasure talking to you. It's been such a pleasure to interact with you. And if you're listening to us on our social media platforms, please do go ahead and give us a thumbs up on Facebook or just comment down below and let me know what you're thinking. If you are listening to us on our app, you could always call us on 07852 or you could simply connect with us on social media, that is Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and TikTok. We go as a Relax Radio. And we are pumping out some content that you are most definitely going to love. So make sure that you go check us out, show some love on our social media platforms. With that being said, earlier on, we were talking about the necessity of healthy eating. Now, before you be like, oh, no, that's too boring of a topic, we discussed why it's so hard to eat healthy. We discussed things like, healthy eating is so confusing because there are some people that say one thing is good, whereas other people say that's not good. So it's almost like this confused state that all of us are in. We don't know what to eat. We don't know what not to eat because there's so many different opinions out there. But I told you how at the end of the day, to be safe, to be healthy, you need to eat things that have less shelf life. For me, that's a way that I kind of navigate through what's good to eat and what's not. If something can stay on a shelf for months on end, that probably has way too many preservatives than you'd like to put in your body. Which is why it's so good to eat farm to table food. It's so nice to eat. It's so healthy rather to eat things that are more plant based. So I told you, plant based doesn't have to be an enemy to you. Plant based doesn't have to be absolutely disgusting. Any plant based can be really nice. And I told you how, coming from a person like me, I absolutely love food, right? I love any food, especially a good barbecue, some good meat. I love food, right? So coming from me, saying plant-based can actually work, it's saying a lot, right? So if I can do it, I know for a fact that you can do. And I don't mean plant-based every single day. No, that's impossible, especially if you're somebody like me that's an ardent meat lover. It's so hard to transition completely to plant-based. That's not what I mean. Maybe take a day or two within the week to incorporate more plant-based foods into your daily diet. That means add raspberries instead of a sweetener, add sweet berries and fruits instead of using sugar. Add things like nuts to your food instead of processed foods. And these are little things that you can add to your foods to make your food more healthy, but it also tastes absolutely amazing. I also told you how eating healthy just isn't about the foods. Eating healthy is about you creating a positive relationship with food, right? Because no matter how healthy of food you eat, if you don't have the mindset, if you don't have the positive mindset, there's no use. Right? So it's so important that you kind of develop a healthy eating habits. It's so important that you develop these things in your life. And I spoke to you, I told you why it's important to do it. But okay, those are all things that we already discussed. But right now, I want to share with you what you can do in order to eat a little bit healthier. Okay, and I know it sounds like such a daunting task. It sounds so scary, and it sounds like something social media influencers would do for a picture or whatever. But if it doesn't sound like something you can do, trust me when I say, I told you, I'm a person that love food. Like, oh my goodness, when I tell you I love food, I love good food. I love flavor, I love bold flavors, I love spice, I love sweet. But how I stay healthy is a few things that I want to share with you as well, so that you can incorporate these things to your diet on a day-to-day basis, but also, have a good time with food and enjoy the food that you're eating. Now, the first thing that I want you to do essentially is to make a plan, and this requires a lot of research. Okay, go ahead and read. Now, I know that we have people listening in from all over the world, not just the UK. In UK, it's not too hard to access things like berries and nuts, and things that are really good that you can incorporate into your meal. But what I want you to do right now, right after this show, I want you to research on foods that are good for you, but foods that are that are healthy as well, what are easily accessible. Figure out which foods are good for you. The first step is to develop a concrete and specific plan of action. And I'm not just talking about healthy dieting. It's about if you want to do anything in life, it's so important that you make a plan first. So develop a concrete and specific plan of action. For instance, tomorrow morning when it's time to eat breakfast, plan to skip the fast food breakfast sandwich and eat a piece of whole grain toast with maybe peanut butter at home. You know, when you plan these ahead of time, you're going to have more motivation, self motivation to essentially stick to that plan, as opposed to being like, oh no, when tomorrow comes, I'll figure it out. Right? So I think the first thing that you need to do if you want to stick to a healthy diet is to essentially have a plan of action, to have a plan of action, to have a plan for your new healthy diet. The other thing that I do want to talk to you about is to keep unhealthy foods out of sight. Okay, this one is, oh my goodness, when I tell you I relate to this so much. I realized that I tend to eat unhealthy foods when it's easily accessible to me. Like, for instance, I work from home quite a lot now. And especially, in the middle of the night, if I feel like snacking and if I don't have a tub of ice cream at home, I'm not going to go to a shop at the middle of the night to get myself ice cream, right? But instead, if I did have a tub of ice cream in my fridge, chances are that I would have eaten it. See, one thing that you need to do when it comes to being healthy is to make sure that you don't have unhealthy foods around your household. Because if you don't have it, you're going to be forced to essentially find a substitute. One substitute for ice cream that I figured out was that is absolutely amazing is frozen bananas. You blend some frozen bananas with some honey and milk, and it tastes just as good as ice cream. See, when you don't have easy access to unhealthy food, you're not going to the urge for you rather to have it is going to be so much less. So make sure one thing that you need to do is to keep unhealthy foods out of sight as much as possible. I know that sounds a little impractical at times, but the things that you can do, purge your pantry and your fridge for any unhealthy foods, and start thinking about getting only the good stuff into your kitchen. That way you'll have more of a chance of eating healthy and much less of a chance of eating junk. So make a shopping list so that you can pick up all the vegetables, so that you can, fruit and other plant-based foods that you need for the next week or so, or your grocery list. Just make sure that you include as much fruit and vegetables and as less of junk as much as possible. Now, the other thing that I do want to talk about that is absolutely important to remember when it comes to eating healthy is to take baby steps. See, I feel like what happens to a lot of us, and I'm no exception, what happens to a lot of us, we try to achieve massive goals on the first day. Like we say, oh, we're going to do 1 hour of cardio, and we're going to essentially go the entire week on vegan. We're going to transform ourselves into vegans, and those are such massive steps, and the transition can be really hard. So instead of taking such a massive step in the first place, what you can do instead is to take baby steps. Take it one day at a time, take it one step at a time. Set small, doable goals. Okay, for instance, you're going to eat 3 more servings of vegetables this week, and that can be your motivation, or that can be essentially your healthy diet. That's a small step, but that's something that is definitely something that you can do. So how can you make that happen? Maybe that's by start adding 1 extra serving of veggies to your dinner just 3 nights a week. Healthy eating as opposed to what social media portrays isn't becoming completely vegan. If you could do that, kudos to you. But it isn't this crazy transformation. It's doing little things that count. Like I told you, add 3 extra servings of vegetables to a week of your eating, or have 1 day within the week where you'll be more plant-based. These are small, doable goals that are absolutely achievable. That's not going to demotivate you from sticking to your healthy eating plan. And these are things that are absolutely achievable as well. Monitor your foods. I feel like the times that I eat unhealthy food more often than not is when I go to the fridge and I eat something, and then I completely lose track, and then I eat something else, and then it just turns out to a whole train wreck of just eating junk food. Instead, what you can do is to journal your food habits. With that being said, disclaimer, I want to remind you, at the end of the day, you can eat healthy and also have fun. Healthy food doesn't, like I told you, it doesn't mean completely being vegan. If you could do that, that's amazing. It doesn't mean being completely vegetarian. If you could do that, amazing as well. But that is not what healthy eating means. Healthy eating means reducing a little bit of processed food, just a little this week, maybe next week a little bit more. Just make sure that you don't restrict yourself from foods that you love. Find alternatives. If you like processed cheese, maybe there's so many other cheeses that you can eat that are fresh, that is not this processed crap that we get. Right? So figure out what's good for you, figure out things that are fresh, figure out substitutes, but for goodness sake, don't not ever restrict yourself. Food is amazing, okay? Food is, for me, food is a part of cultures. It's passed down from families. It brings people together. So it should never restrict you, or food should never be your enemy. So make sure that you have a healthy relationship with food, and make sure that you do little things to incorporate healthy eating habits into your day-to-day eating routines. With that being said, let's head on over to a little break, but I have a lot more to talk to you about as well. So make sure that you keep it tuned right here on Relaks Radio.
it again. But now, if you say to a child, if I went up to a child and said, "You've had one to forget," God, there'd be an inquest. Me, why did you reject my son? Oh, I haven't rejected your son.
I want to talk about, how the generation gap, has how much it's changed, especially when you check the youth nowadays in comparison, to people back in the day.
I'd say when I was younger, it was more disciplined. Not now.
In comparison to now.
Not at all. Not now. The way things are nowadays, the younger generation, you seem that they can't accept the word no. If that makes sense. They can't
accept rejection, essentially, is all you're trying to say.
Yeah, they can't accept the word no. So if you, how did I do? Well, you didn't do very well. And they get upset, And when I was a youngster, my father used to say to me, because I used to be sport mad when I was very young. Well, I still am sport mad, but like participating in different sports. And if I had a bad game, for example, I'd say to me, "You had one to forget." That's it.
Yeah, that sounds like a smart guy. I mean, yeah, that's the real fact of the matter. Yeah.
He'd say to me, "You had one to forget. Get over it," and that was it. So I'd dust myself down and do it again. But now, if you say to a child, if I went up to a child and said, "You've had one to forget," God, there'd be an inquest. Me, why did you reject my son? Oh, I haven't rejected your son. Or daughter. I've just told them that they need to buck their ideas up.
That's the truth right there. I mean, if you think about it, if you check the generations, like right now in the US as well, I've seen a lot of these things as well. In the UK, you get medals for participation. But what's the point? What are you trying to? Yeah, what's the point? Either you win or you lose. People are so afraid to put that whole notion of losing. When it comes to right now, the generation gap is just crazy. How much a lot has changed. Social media has taken control of our lives, and we don't even realize it anymore. We're crippled because of it.
That's absolutely right, Nick. Because, as you said, nowadays it seems that you get rewarded for failure. For the life of me, Nick, I can't get my head around that. Perhaps I'm just getting old and morbid. I don't know. I just can't get my head around how you could be rewarded for failure. And it gives them something to look at, and it makes them laugh. It makes them laugh. So that's why I do it.
Oh, and it could be a really good pickup line as well. Ladies will ask, "Hey, excuse me, so why are you wearing something so colorful?" I mean, hey, you can always have something up on your sleeve. I mean, got me thinking. You want to stand out. Why do you want to stand out though so much, especially with these kind of shirts when you're riding? There must be a purpose behind it, right?
Well, when you say a purpose, Nick, what I do, I wear the shirts, mainly one because they're nice and bright, so they make me visible, especially if I'm riding on the road.
Okay. But that's very important, right? Because you want cars,
very important. And also, like, people see me in like calves, and perhaps I shouldn't be saying this on here, I suppose, but in the bar afterwards.
All right.
And it gives them something to look at, and it makes them laugh. It makes them laugh, so that's why I do it.
Oh, and it could be a really good pickup line as well. Ladies will ask, "Hey, excuse me, so why are you wearing something so colorful?" I mean, hey, you can always have something up on your sleeve. I mean, you look like a guy who would do.
You know me too well. You know me too well, Nick.
Welcome welcome back to the show. It is the final few minutes of the show, but we have so much more great content coming your way, and we want you to be a part of the show, okay? We want you to let us know what you're thinking, how your day is going so far. Go right ahead and call us up on 07852 473 473, or you could very simply connect with us on our social media, that is Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. We go as Relax Radio, and we are always there for you to give you the best of content, to keep you motivated and informed as well. I want to let you know that even though this show is ending, we got some amazing shows coming up right after. The show after this is actually very informative because it's going to keep you updated about finance related, business related news that you absolutely need to know. So stay tuned to Relax Radio, and what we want you to do is, like I said before, we completely understand that a lot of us are super busy with our work and family lives and household chores and education or whatever, and it's so hard to stay on top of things, right? It's so hard to be updated. It's so hard to keep ourselves updated about things, which is why we are here for you. We are here so that you can just keep us on in the background. You can just tune into Relax Radio. You can stream into Relax Radio, and you can listen to us while you drive, while you do your household chores, while you do your work. You can just listen to us so that you are updated with every single thing that's going on around the world. Now, with that being said, before I go, actually, today we spoke of something very interesting, and that we spoke of a lot of interesting things. But the most interesting thing, I think, was this idea of what you should do instead of giving up. So I thought before I end, I want to revisit this whole idea and share with you what you could do, give you some other examples of what you need to do instead of giving up. Now, first of all, what's the most important thing, in my opinion, at least? It's to stay motivated when you want to give up. I feel like when you have that necessity, when your body is not cooperating and when your mind is not cooperating, and the only thing that you can think of is giving up or is quitting, you essentially find it so hard to find internal motivation. Right? It's so hard to keep on top of things. It's so hard to find that inspiration within you. So I feel like instead, especially when you feel like quitting and when you feel like you're having a rough patch in life, and I want you to remember to do whatever it takes to motivate yourself. Now, I know that sounds like something off a social media influencer positivity quote, inspirational post situation, but trust me, it's so much more than that. I want you to do whatever it takes to inspire yourself, because like I told you before, I spoke about this a few shows back, and I told you that the most important kind of motivation is the kind of motivation that comes from within. So what I want you to do is try to find that motivation within yourself. Okay, so how exactly can you do that? And I know all of these things are so much easier said than done, but definitely one thing that you can do to motivate yourself not to give up is to make a list of goals. Write down what you want to accomplish in life. And I don't mean in the near future. I don't mean things that you want to do today, tomorrow. Think of where you want to see yourself, where you want to see your life heading, right? Write it down. I feel like when you write it down, you kind of draw more attention to what essentially you want to do. So first things first, if you want to motivate yourself and you feel like you want to give up, you need to motivate yourself. And how you can do that is by listing down all of your goals and then visualizing it actually happening in your life. Okay. See, I don't know about you, but that definitely has helped me in terms when I visualize it. I almost give myself the courage to believe that I can accomplish it. Because like I told you before, more often than not, people quit or give up because you kind of don't believe in yourself to be capable of achieving that goal, or you don't believe that you're capable of even succeeding, which is why you give up, right? Which is why you quit. Whereas when you visualize the goals in your life, it kind of gives you that motivation, internal motivation that you need to kind of hold on for a little longer. The other thing, I spoke about this earlier also, but I cannot tell you how important it is to find your whys. I know that sounds ridiculous, but what I mean is find your reason. Okay. like I told you, every single person in this world has reasons as to why they're here. You're not here by chance, okay? No matter how trivial you think your life is, I feel like every single one of us, despite our social status, despite how much money we earn, we all have a purpose here on this planet. And it's so important for me that you kind of figure out this purpose, figure out the reason for life, figure out your whys. Why do you want to live? Why do you want to succeed? Why do you want to hold on a little longer? Even if there's a million reasons why you shouldn't, figure out or focus on that one reason why you should. I know that sounds really cliche, but I really want you to try it out. Okay? So try it out. Ask yourself, find your whys. Find some mentors. I cannot even tell you, especially when I've had times in my life where I don't feel so good and I felt like giving up. There's so many sources of help out there. But I feel like sometimes when we are in that dark place in life, when we are in a dark place with regards to making a decision, we kind of block out the rest of the world. We block out everybody. We have a negative attitude towards everybody. But trust me when I say there's so many people that are willing to help you. There is professional help out there. But you can't be helped. You can only be helped if you want to be helped. People can't reach out to you unless they know that you're going through something. So you need to make other people aware that you are having trouble. Find yourself a mentor. And even if you don't have people that are close to you in your life, there is professional help out there, especially in the UK. You can very easily focus or reach out to government facilitated services that will definitely help you out. So whenever you feel like giving up, figure out your mentors, figure out the actual people that care about you in your life. Get rid of people that spread negativity, because life is not long enough for you to be associating people that kind of put you down, that give you this negative attitude. So that essentially is what I want you to do. I want you to be as happy as possible. And one thing, that to be happy, you need to not give up. You need to hold on for a little longer when it comes to certain contexts, especially when it comes to achieving your dreams and your goals. Now, with that being said, it's about the time that I head on out of here. But listen, Saturday and Sunday, that's the weekend. We have some amazing shows lined up for you with a lot of different hosts. And the crew is so excited to keep you company. So make sure that you check in on us on the live streams on our social media platforms. Download our app and keep in touch with us, because we absolutely love to hear from you. Now, with that being said, it's about that time that I head on out of here. But make sure that you keep it tuned right here on Relax Radio and have the most amazing day ahead.